I'm Dr. Jordan Shapiro. I'm a gastroenterologist in Houston, Texas at Gastro Health and Nutrition.
My name is Amy Rimple. I live in Houston, Texas, and I have IBS.
So we have a few questions for you today, Amy, just to share a bit about your journey with IBS. Question number one is, how did you find out you had IBS and how was it diagnosed?
I think about this and it brings me on a very long journey because I do know that I was given the diagnosis probably a decade ago, but I can tell you that I didn't hear it. And so when I look back at that now, I can honestly say that I probably didn't hear it and let it sink in to most likely about 3 or 4 years ago. I have seen many providers over the years, but I would say I started having symptoms as early as in my 20s. And I was in the field of healthcare because I am a physical therapist. And with that, I wear a fix-it hat. And I would not necessarily take the first thing that was thrown at me as the answer for something if I didn't believe it. So I would keep seeking other people to help me. My symptoms were such that they were impairing my quality of life. I had a lot of abdominal pain. I had bloating. Therefore, my eating patterns were off. Sometimes for days and weeks on end, I wouldn't have a bowel movement. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'd have an episode of like explosive diarrhea where my body would clear it all out. And it was a cycle. So I would start with my provider, my gynecologist, because I had endometriosis, which made sense to me, and think that it was always the endometriosis that was doing that. And I ended up having quite a few laparoscopic surgeries for endometriosis, and it was in my bowels. So I was told, okay, it was probably the endometriosis and the surgery that I had to have that was giving me these symptoms, and this will help it make it better. But it didn't. And so I was constantly on a journey of having more tests and seeking another opinion to understand how to help me with these symptoms. And so I never wanted to stop until I thought it was something reasonable that I could take control of, I guess. And in my 20s, I certainly wasn't ready to think that I would have to change my life around something yet. So I kept looking.
Do you remember when you were first diagnosed with IBS? What did that feel like? Did it feel like this was um, a lifetime sentence of suffering? Did it feel like there was hope because you had some at least piece of the answer?
When I heard it, and I'm referring to the most recent few years when I heard it, I honestly felt at that time some hope because I felt like that I could have potentially the quality of life that I felt like I deserved to have, and that maybe this was the light at the end of the tunnel where I could wrap my arms around it and have relief and have a good life.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. And I think it's a great message for patients just to hear that if you feel like you're not being heard, if you feel like you're getting frustrated, those are actually okay things to talk about, and it's okay to keep looking until you find a team that you feel comfortable with, because sometimes these things take a little bit of time, even with a good team, to pick apart and sort out. But you have to feel heard and feel like the most important member of your healthcare team is you, and we're all here as support members. So thank you for sharing that tip for people.